Good morning, YouTubers. Today we're going to install a blue blinking LED light. The reason why I want to install this is for two purposes. One is for security. This thing is going to be blinking bright blue inside your dark cabin at night. So anybody that walks by is going to see this blue blinking LED, and it's going to assume you have some high-tech security system. The second one is for aesthetics. It's going to look really nice blinking your whole entire cabin blue at night while you're sleeping or something, right? So let me show you the basics of how this works. For this thing to emit light, it has to have a power and a ground. Doesn't matter which side. It's non-polarity, okay? Power and a ground or power and a ground, doesn't matter, okay? So one side that is power is going to have continuous power, meaning it's going to have a 12 volts going to this no matter what time of the day it is, no matter if your car is on or off, it has to have 12 volts of power. The other wire is a switching wire, meaning it could go power and ground, and that's how it operates, okay? So if this one is power all the time, this one needs to be a ground in order for that to blink. For this to be a ground in order for that to blink, your car has to be off, okay? So you only want this to turn on when your car is off. So you need to find a wire that is going to be a ground while your car is off, okay? And then when you start the car, this needs to be a power. And that's how it switches, because this will turn off if both of these are power, okay? So it won't work. So that's how it works, okay? Continuous power and a switching power and a ground for this to switch on and off, okay? So let's go ahead and start. Well, we'll look for the power and ground later on, but I just want to get started. I bought this for like $5 on, Amazon. I'll send you guys a link. It's kind of short. I've been playing around with it. It's kind of short. It works great. I just want to extend it, and I am going to extend it with this wire right here. I got two of them. Okay, it's about 3.5 to 4 feet long. Okay, I'm going to extend it. The reason why I'm going to extend it is because I don't know where I'm going to locate my power and ground, and most likely it's going to be underneath the driver dash. For this to run from the center console to the driver dash, I'm going to have to route it quite a bit. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and use my wire stripper. I got a wire crimper, and I have two butt connectors. Okay, these butt connectors is what attaches wires together. Okay, one side goes into a butt connector, and you crush this aluminum barrel inside, and it holds the wire. Then you take another wire and you put it in there, and you do the same thing. You crush the barrel, and it sticks, and it's not going anywhere. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that first. I normally like to cut a little bit ways off, just like this. I twist it like this, just so as though you're gonna put a thread through a needle, an eye of a needle. Okay, and then I'm gonna bend it in half, just so the wire is thick. Okay, once I do that, I'm gonna put it inside the barrel, just like this, and I'm going to crush it. And then I'm going to go to the next one and crush it some more. So this ain't going anywhere. See that? It's not going anywhere. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Strip the shield off. Take the wire. Once I entwine it like that, I'm going to bend it in half so it becomes really thick inside the connector. Gonna throw it inside the connector all the way up to the shield and crush it. Okay, you're gonna have your power and ground right there. That's what's gonna work. Okay, now you're gonna take your wire extensions. Remember, these are two different wires. They're not connected to each other. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing to this. Okay, bend it in half. Remember, it doesn't matter which side is power, which side is ground. Let's crush it. Okay, the easy part is done. I'm going to take an extra step in precaution, because when you route this stuff, you never know when this might snag onto something and come apart, and then when you put your whole entire car together, your light doesn't work, and that will really suck. This is a lot of work putting stuff together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 3M electrical tape, right? And I'm going to wrap it around here just so these wires and barrels don't come loose on me when I route stuff. I hate redoing things all over. Okay, there you go. Stuck together really good. Okay, so here's another trick for you guys. Okay, so you see these two wires, you're gonna have to route these two wires into the driver's dash, and they're just apart. Instead of using tape to wrap this whole entire thing, what I do is I take my power drill. It doesn't matter, any kind of power drill, right? Take my power drill, I will take the two ends together and I will tighten it inside my power drill, just like this. Tighten it. Once I tighten it, I hold the other end just like this. Hold the other end. Don't hold it at the light. You don't want this thing to start popping off on you. Hold it right here. Hold it sturdy and go ahead and turn your Makita or your power drill clockwise. Get it firm. There you go. You're done. Okay, so let's disengage it. And now I have a coil of wire that is together. Okay, I don't need to tape it. It's going to stick together when I start routing this. Okay, so that's a little shortcut for you guys. If you want to go a little further, I would tape these two ends so they don't start, you know, unwinding. You want it tight just like this, or you could go even a little tighter if you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this right now. I got my little power, my cat's power thing. Let's turn it on. Okay, I'm going to put one side to power, one side to ground. Oops. You guys see it? I'm not making good contact here. There you go, guys. I already attached my power and ground, 12 volts right there, and this is what it's going to look like when it blinks in my car. Okay, power and ground, that's all it takes. So remember, continuous power and ground if my car is off. Okay, but when I start my car, this should disconnect when I start my car, and the light will stop blinking. You don't want this blinking while you're driving. That gets annoying. Okay, and that's how it works. So let's go ahead and look at the center console next. Okay, here is my center console taken apart. Okay, I set it on top of my work stand right here. Let me show you where I plan to install this. Okay, so good thing about my model is a lot of these panels aren't already used. Most of you guys probably have the luxury edition or something where it's got buttons and switches all over the place. I'm not that lucky. So I'm probably going to use either this one or this one. But the good thing is these two slots are in the same unit as this switch. Okay, so let's turn it over and see what we have to take apart. So if you take a look, the two plastic panels are behind this unit right here. For me to take this unit apart, there's going to be 3 screws. So one right here, one right here, and one right there. Okay, these disconnect this brown plastic unit from the rest. Okay, that's all I want to do. Just take off the brown piece right here. Let me show you what it's going to look like. Oops, wrong one. There you go. One more. You should be good. Okay, once I take this off, you're going to see that I'm going to either put it in here or here. So let's hope that there's nothing behind there. We're going to get a flathead screwdriver. Okay. And we're just going to pry it open, pry it up. There you go, you pry it open, and luckily there's nothing behind there. Okay, so if we're going to take our LED bulb, okay, we're going to take our LED bulb and we're going to drill a hole, and it's going to go through there and it's going to stick out just like that. Okay, so we're going to have to drill a hole, and most likely we're going to have to use a glue gun or something to hold it in there. You don't want this thing tilting on you or falling all over the place or moving around all over the place. The way I am is I want everything perfectly straight, because if it goes in there and it tilts just a little bit like that, it's going to bug the shit out of me. Okay, so we're going to have to drill a hole, route this in there, use a glue gun, stick it in there. Once it sticks in there, we're going to put everything back, and then we're going to route the rest of the wires, okay, through here. Route the rest of the wires and tape it nice and neat so it doesn't get pinched. Okay, the next step is looking at the path that the wire is going to be routed. If you notice, if I stick my wires in here and show the LED out here, the wire is going to stick out of here, and then when I push this back on, it's going to pinch the wire against this piece and this piece. So I'm going to have to cut a notch. I'm going to find an area in here where it's not going to affect the fitment, so I can start cutting. So if you notice, the front and rear of this panel has got clips and slots, but the side doesn't really have anything. So I'm going to go ahead and make a slot on the side to run my wires. Okay, so it's going to go in like this, right? So I'm going to make maybe a rectangular, or try to make a rectangular slot right here. I'm using this cutting tool that I bought at Walmart. It was like 20 bucks. It's got a bunch of different sanders and cutters, and this thing comes in handy also. Make sure you wear a safety glass when you do this. Okay, so this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and slot a piece right here, and then I'm going to slot a piece right here. Okay. That should do it, folks. So if I were to put my wires in here, it'd have a big nice slot that it's going to call home, that's going to go right through that hole. Okay, so what you want to do next is, I know it's not a pretty cut, but you know, nobody's going to be looking at this. You're going to put all this together. The main thing is you want to make sure you sand all this and get out all the burrs so it doesn't cut your wires, it doesn't cut into your wires. It also might be a good idea that the part where the wire goes through, you might want to tape it with some electrical tape to protect it a little bit more, okay? But from what I see right there, it's a pretty clean cut. No sharp edges or anything, and it's really dull plastic. Same thing right here. You just get maybe like a little flathead screwdriver and just scrape off any extra burrs that just might happen to remain on there, okay? While you're doing this, it might be a good idea to go ahead and heat up your glue gun, because you're going to be using this next. Okay, heat up your glue gun, guys, because we're going to be doing some gluing and some hole drilling next. Okay, while my glue gun is heating up, we're going to go ahead and drill a hole. What I want to do is I want to try to find the smallest drill bit possible. The reason why I want to go with a small drill bit is because I want to center my hole, and I don't want this drill bit to start walking on me, and it's going to create, you know, marks all over the place. Okay, once I start with a small drill bit, maybe like 100 thousandths in diameter, then I could go to my full size one. Okay, and then I'll show you how to determine your full size one. Okay, so let's go ahead and use a small drill bit. You want to center it as much as possible. Okay, and go ahead and start it slowly so it doesn't walk on you. Just like that. Okay, pretty centered, right? So now I want to go to my full size. How do I know what my full size is? It's fairly easy. You take your LED, you don't want this lip of the LED going past the hole. Okay, so you're going to measure the diameter of that lip right there. That lip is going to go beneath the plastic panel. Okay, it's going to go beneath the plastic panel and it's going to stop right there. If you make the hole too big, this whole thing's just going to fall right through. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure that. Get a set of dial calipers. Okay, and I got about 230 thousandths. 230 thousandths. So you're going to have to find a drill bit that's going to be smaller than 230 thousandths. I found one right here. This one is only 190 thousandths, right? So you always want the drill bit to be smaller than what you're trying to drill a hole for. Okay, so let's drill a smaller hole so this doesn't fall through that hole. Okay, so let's go ahead. You already centered the hole with the smaller drill bit. Let's go ahead and drill it out now. You stop right there to clean it up a little bit. Okay, want to always make sure you're drilling with a clean drill bit, or else you're going to end up oversizing your hole. Okay, I'm stopping every so often to clean up the hole and to clean up the drill bit. Okay, now I'm going to do the final hole size right here, and I'm keeping my fingers out of the way. Okay, there you go. Let's stick this through there. Perfect. You see that? Well, the only reason why I'm sticking it this way, because it's not going to matter. What I want to do is I want to check for hole size. I want it to be as snug as possible. I don't want it to be loose. Right now it's super snug, so if I were to stick this in the hole and use a flathead screwdriver and push it in, it would get stuck, and it would, and the glue gun would only help it stabilize. But what you want is you want a lot of friction between the hole and the LED itself. Okay, so right there, looking pretty good. Just clean up the hole a little bit more. Now you want to go through the other side because you drilled through this way. Now you want to clean up the other side a little bit. Okay. Perfect. Okay. And before you even make any of this permanent, what you want to do is you want to test the light one more time. Stick it on the battery again. Make sure it's still blinking. You never know, while you were drilling and sticking this through and testing it, something may have came loose. You don't want to do anything permanent unless you are positive that it's going to work when you put everything back together. Okay, so go ahead and test it out. I already tested it, so I'm not going to show you that boring part. But let's go ahead and stick it inside the hole. I already got my trusty glue gun ready to go. Okay, I stuck my LED in there. I didn't stick it all the way through. I just wanted to show you what it looks like from the inside. I'm going to get a flathead screwdriver and I'm going to help snug it along. Just push it in the hole. There you go. It's all the way inside, and this is what it's going to look like, the finished product. Okay, but you never know, while you're sitting there, some dumbass passenger, your cousin, nephews, little cousins, brothers, baby's gonna end up sitting on this while you're not in the car, and it's gonna fall right through the hole. So what you want to do is you want to help it along with the glue gun. You're gonna take your glue gun and you're going to splatter behind it with a lot of glue so it holds in place. Okay, go ahead and be very liberal with the glue gun. Okay, because you want this to really stay in place when you're done. So I pretty much slobbered a whole bunch of glue behind there, and that is not going anywhere. Okay, just let it dry for a little bit, and these things dry really quick, guys. Maybe a couple of minutes, it'll dry really quick. In the meantime, what you want to do is you want to unplug your glue gun. Don't go crazy with the glue gun, guys, because you never know when this LED might go out on you and you're gonna have to replace it. And if you have a whole bunch of glob and gunk in there and you're going to have to try to pry it open just to replace it, you're screwed. You might as well just buy another panel. But I put enough in there where it's going to hold my LED, and if I need to replace it, all I have to do is just get a flathead screwdriver and just pick at it and it'll come right out. Okay, so let's dry this up a little bit. Okay, and then we can put it in there and start rounding this sucker. If you want to know if it's dry, just get your flathead screwdriver and just start touching it. Right now it's still a little squishy, so I'm gonna let it dry. Okay, now that our glue has dried, we want to take our wire and put it through the slot where we previously drilled right there. And remember, we're gonna have to squeeze this back in there. Okay, so one thing I learned was if you put way too much glue, it's gonna get in the way of these two channels right here. Okay, so you're gonna have to take some of your glue and you're gonna have to take it off the wall, separate it. Okay, give it some room to snap into there. Okay, so you're gonna try this a few times until you can actually get it in there. But once you get it in there, it should be able to snap into place just like that. Okay, once it snaps into place just like that, you're gonna want to route your wires just right here in the middle, just like that, because it's gonna go through either of these holes. Okay, so when you do flip it back over, it's just gonna go in those holes just like that. So let's go ahead and route it inside the hole. Okay. There you go. Route inside the hole, just like that. You want to make a good clean route, just like that. I would put it right in the middle right here. There's plenty of space. Okay, and just put your console back in. This is the part where you want to make sure nothing's pinching by just making sure that the wire is still loose. Okay, right? Then you want to gonna go ahead and put your screws back in. Remember the 3 screws that we previously taken out? Okie dokie. There's one. Here's 2. Can't wait to show you guys what this is going to look like in a minute. Okay, here's 3. Make sure it's tight. Okay, you're going to want to route this wire inside, on the inside, so it doesn't hit this tab right here. Once you put your center console back, you don't want any of the wires to be pinching, so you want to run it on the inside just like that. Okay, so this is the part where you can go ahead and tape it if you guys want, in order for the wires to stick together. Okay, so I should have done that ahead of time. Sorry about that, guys. These 3M electrical tapes do come in handy. Make sure they're 3M. If you get those cheap 99-cent ones, they do fall apart. Trust me, they fall apart and they do not stick. These 3M tapes, they stick like there's no tomorrow. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the black tape where it's going to route inside my center console, but I'm going to leave it the rest dangling because I don't know exactly where I'm going to tap into for power and ground for this yet. Okay, so let's just route it in there. See that? That's a pretty clean install, right? So at this point right here, if you want the wires to stay where they are at, you want to get some tie wraps. Okay, let me just grab some tie wraps real quick here. You got these types of tie wraps right here, right? So you want to get some of these tie wraps and just wrap it so they stay out of the way of this damn tab right here. I'm afraid of that tab for some reason. Just like that. You want to cut this. You don't have anything dangling outside. Okay, so now you have this wire just right here ready to go. Let's flip it over and let's see what it looks like. There you go, guys. Right there. Look at that. Look at that. People are going to be sitting in your car and they'll be like, what the hell is that? Oh, yeah, it's top secret, guys. Only people in the top level of the government knows about this. So that's the kind of story that you guys can throw at them. There's no other GX that I have seen that has this. Okay, so let's go ahead and complete the installation. We're going to have to go to the car right now, bring this whole entire thing to the car with us. Make sure you got this wire right here, okay, because we're going to be routing this wire underneath the radio. You do not want to pinch this whatsoever, okay? And it'd be a good idea right about now to go ahead and take these two wires right here and put it to your car battery and make sure it's blinking. Okay, you don't want to put all this back together and find out it's not working. Okay, so tap this to your car battery before you install it into your center console, and then we can go to the next step and just route it underneath the dash and find out where we could tap this to power and ground. Okay, this next step, you're going to need to find where your power and ground is in your car, and you should pick up one of these doohickeys. It's a test light. Okay, it's a really nice test light, and all it does is it clamps to the positive and the negative of your car battery. And for you to be able to probe every single wire in your car to find a power and a ground, all you have to do is just stick this point into the wire, and if you find a power, it'll light up red. That will light up red. Okay, and if you find ground, okay, it will light up green. You see the green? Do you see the green? There you go. It'll light up green. Take it off, it goes off. Okay, so you're going to need one of these to go underneath your dash. Let's go ahead and do that right now. I went ahead and brought my whole entire center console into the car, and the other end of the wire, right, of the LED is going to be slotted right here going to the direction of your driver, underneath your driver. And for you to be able to do that, you just stick it in there and take your other hand onto the underneath the driver's side and just try to feel for it. Just try to locate the wire. Okay, shouldn't be that hard to do. I found it already in a few seconds right here. Plenty of space. There you go. I routed my wire, and I can go ahead and put my center console back. Okay, for me to put it back, I'm going to need to move my shift knob back. I'm going to start my car. I'm going to move my shift knob back. Okay, I'm going to route it back in here, put it back. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and plug everything back up, because I have this good feeling that everything is going to go according to plan. So I can go ahead and plug everything back up. Shouldn't be a problem. Take all my plugs up here, plug them back in also. Oops, how does this thing go here? Be careful not to scratch anything on your car. Look at your wire harness, okay? Make sure it's not going to be pinched anywhere. Go ahead and slide this back on, okay? Right there. Go ahead and put the shift knob back in. Be careful not to cut your boot, the leather on your boot. Okay, it's back into place. Bingo. I'm not going to snap it into place yet, guys, because I want to make sure this light works before I really snap everything back into place. Okay, so let's just put it back into park. Turn off the engine. Now let's go underneath the dash and find this damn wire. Okay, next thing's next. We're underneath the dashboard right now. You're going to have to remove this bottom black panel, and to remove that you're going to have to take off one screw right here. Once you take off that one screw, I already did that, okay guys. Take off that one screw, this whole thing just pulls right off, okay? You could just leave it dangling right here, no need to take it out of the way. Once you take that one screw off and this black panel down, we're going to have to try to find a way to take off this cover right here. And in order to take off that cover right there, we are going to have to probably remove a screw right there underneath this right there. That screw is right behind this plastic clip right here. You just pull that plastic clip down with a flathead screwdriver. You're going to take in a 10mm and unscrew that bolt right there. After you unscrew that bolt, set it aside. You're going to want to come over here. You want to take off this plastic panel right here. You got your plastic pry trim tool. You're going to have to pop it open. Okay, there you go. You could remove this, or you could just leave it out of the way right there. Perfect, right? Okay, so in order to remove this, you're going to have another 10mm bolt down here in order to remove this. Okay, so you're going to have to take off your kick panel. In order for you to take off your kick panel, you're going to have to remove this runner right here. I got the wide trim panel remover. Okay, this is really in handy right here. Just pop it open just like this. Okay. There you go. Okay, comes right off. All clips. Okay, all clips right here. Boom, boom. Okay, these types of clips. Okay, and now we can take off this kick panel. This kick panel is pretty easy. You just have to pull on it right here. Okay, but before you pull on it, there's a little knob in here. Okay, it's a plastic knob. You turn it counterclockwise. Let me show you what it looks like in a minute. Looks like this. It's a plastic knob that holds down your kick panel. It's got like 3 dots in there. Let's set that aside. Let's pull the whole kick panel off. Okay. Once I pull the whole kick panel off, I'm gonna notice another 10mm right here. Okay. So let's go ahead and unscrew that 10mm. Bingo. Now after all those bolts are out, I'm going to want to remove this whole entire panel. Okay, this whole entire panel is all clips. All you got to do is just pull on it. Just pull on it. Just pull on it. The whole thing should pop out just like that. You're going to have a plug behind here. Disconnect all your plugs so it leaves it dangling down, so you gain some access to work. Okay, there you go. Just leave it on the ground. Get your wires ready. Get your wires right here. You can plug this back in so it just doesn't dangle in your face all day long. Okay, and now you're going to be doing some wire testing. Okay, so we're going to have to look around here to see if there's any thick 12 volt wires for you to grab power from. You don't want to go into these really tiny 18, 22 gauge wires, because these are really low voltage. For your LEDs to work, you must have 12 volts. Okay. Okay guys, I already did find the wires for you, and I'll show you how I found it. Here's my steering wheel. Okay, so if I go up to this cluster of wires right here, let me set the camera down for you guys. If I go up to this set of cluster of wires right here, I found my wires. Okay, so I was looking for a constant power, a power line where my car is going to have power, 12 volts of power, whether it's on or off. And I found it in this wire harness right here, and it's this thick dark green wire. And if I put my test light to it, you're going to see right here my test light turns red. See that red light right there? Okay, if I take my fingers off, the red light turns off. This is my constant power. But just to make sure that it's a constant power, I want to make sure that it's going to remain red after I start my car. So let's go ahead and start the car. Okay, my ignition is on and it's still red, so that means it's a constant power. Okay, let's turn off the car. I found out where I can grab a ground wire, and the ground wire is going to be in this cluster down here. This is my ground wire, so when my car is off, this is supposed to be a ground, meaning it's supposed to turn this green color on my test light. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me show you. So right here, if I put this right here, see the LED turns green. If I take it off, the green goes away. So I know this is going to be ground when my car is off. Okay, and just to be sure that it remains ground while the car is off, and I want to make sure this is the right wire. When I turn on the car, this ground will go away. Okay, let's turn it on. See, now it turns power. When the car is on, if you have two powers going to the same going to the LED will turn off. If I turn off my car like I do right now, it's going to turn back to ground. So I'm going to have one power and one ground for this LED to work. Okay, so I found my 2 wires. Okay, so let's go ahead and wire it up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tap into one of the wires. The wire that is ground, I'm going to go ahead and tap into. What I want to do is take my wire stripper and make a little slot right there. Make a little slot and pull the shield away a little bit so I have some contact material right there. I can take my wire, I could take one of the wires and wrap it around there and tape it up, but I'm not going to. I got some of this stuff. It's called a T-tap. Okay, it's made by 3M. All I have to do is just clamp this on there. You see there's a contact in there. I could just put it on the wire, right, and I can just clamp it on there. Clamp it on there with a pair of pliers, just like this. It snaps right in there, and whatever I stick into this slot, it's going to make contact with the wire. This way it's all protected. And I have a male connector that I'm going to put onto this wire, and then once I connect it, I'm going to plug it in just like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to take one end of this wire, bend it in half just like I did with the other videos. Okay, let me get my trusty crimper right here. I'm going to go ahead and put a male connector on here. Slide a male connector on there. I'm going to go ahead and crimp it 1 time, 2 times. It's crimped. I'm going to plug it into this T-tap right here. Now, there you go. It should make a connection. The other one, I'm going to go a little further because the other one is going to be a constant power. Constant powers are a little tricky, okay? Constant powers, you're going to need to put in a inline fuse. Okay, in order for me to put an inline fuse, I'm going to have to connect this wire to a fuse, and then from the fuse to this wire. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the T-tap in there first, get it out of the way. I want to take some shielding away from the wire so it can make good contact. Once I do that, I'm going to put the T-tap on there. Let me show you the T-tap, what it looks like. It's just like this. And then it closes up, it clamps up onto the wire, and that's where you insert the male connector, okay? And that's where it's making the contact along this right here, along this aluminum piece. Really good conductivity, okay? Let's go ahead and snap it in there. And there we go. Should make good contact now. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and grab a fuse. I found a 5 amp fuse. Okay, 5 amps good enough. It's going to an LED, so you don't need that big. This protects anything that's going to the power line. So if you get into an accident or something gets pinched along the wire and you ground it out, you don't mess up the whole entire circuit of whatever this is. This will pop first, okay? And all you have to do is just replace this or fix whatever is grounding out. So let's go ahead and attach this to this first. And what you need is you're going to need a female connector. This is a female connector, okay? Female connector. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I already did my wires here. I want to bend it in half. I want to attach my female connector on there, make good contact. I'm going to go ahead and crimp it just like that. Okay, I'm going to attach my fuse to one end just like that. Sorry folks, I had to go get another fuse. That Harbor Freight crap is really a piece of shit. It broke off on me, so I went and grabbed another fuse. This is from another company, or you could go inside your fuse box inside underneath your engine compartment, and they have spare fuses for you to use. But here's another 5 amp from a different company. So I'm going to go ahead and slot this back on this female connector on one side. There you go. And the other side, I'm going to get another female connector with the wire, and it's going to go into a male connector and plug into there. Okay, so I went ahead and got another wire right here. I just cut up another piece of wire that I'm going to attach a female connector to. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that right now. The whole entire purpose of this is just to protect your power line, okay? Very important. So let's go ahead and get the female connector, stick it on there, crimp it. I always crimp it twice. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stick it onto the other side of this fuse. There you go. Okay, and before I attach it to the power, this is going to be exposed, so I don't want it exposed. I'm going to use 3M black tape, and I'm going to tape this up really quick. Here's the 3M tape. Tape it across like this. You don't want it exposed. Okay. There you go. Now the other end is going to go to the power. So get your male connector ready. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the shielding off this wire, twine it up a little bit so it's robust, turn it in half. Okay, I'm going to stick the male connector. The reason why it's called a male connector, see, it's got that piece right there that goes inside of a slot. The slot is called the female connector. This is the male connector. Don't ask me why. I'm not here to explain that to you. Might get sued for whatever reasons. I don't know. Your 5-year-old kid might be watching this and start asking you questions. I don't want to answer that question. So there you go. So here is your positive. It's going to go right in there. It's going to snap on there. Okay, you're done. All you have to do is just clean this up by using putting this out of the way, and I'm going to use some tie wraps right here. You can make this as clean as you want. I'm just going to tie wrap it right here to get it out of the way. Okay, give it a clean job, clean makeup right there. Okay, should look pretty clean. Any wires that you have dangling underneath your car right here, you need to tie wrap it to your steering column or whatever. Make sure there's no moving parts next to it. And how do you know it's working right now? You check out the LED right there, it's blinking. See that? So I'm going to go ahead and start the car. If I turn on the ignition, the LED should stop, right? So let's go ahead and start it. Okay. Oops, where's my key? Let me grab my key real quick. Okay, here's the key. Now if I start it, LED turns off. Let's go ahead and turn off the car. If I turn off the car, LED turns back on. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and wrap all this back up and clean it up a little bit and go have a nice dinner. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.